Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the almost June 25th meeting of the Norwalk Harbor Management Commission. Meeting is now called to order at 6:01 p.m. The roll call. We have a quorum. I can see everybody's here. A member of the commission, except for Matt Gifford, who I'm sure will join us.
Yeah, Matt had, sorry, Alan, Matt, I guess was away on vacation. He said he'll be back and be online as soon as he can.
Terrific. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. So we can begin the meeting called to order. I was going to say we're going to read the Declaration of Independence, but it's the Pledge of Allegiance. It's much shorter. I pledge allegiance
Pledge of allegiance
to the
to
flag
the flag
of the United
States of America,
and to the
and to the
republic
republic for which it
which
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with liberty and justice for all.
justice for all. As you were. Amelia, do we have anyone for public participation?
So if anyone would like to speak now, please use the raise your hand feature at the bottom of your screen. While we wait for people to do that, the only public comment I received via email was the letter forwarded to you all earlier this week. But aside from that, I've received nothing in writing. And we have Linnell Jones speaking first. All right, Linnell, you should be able to talk. Please just state your name, address, and the agenda item you'll be speaking about.
My name is Linnell Jones, and my address is 10 Point Road. Chair Kibbe wrote me late this afternoon that he would read my letter to city leaders and the Norwalk Harbor Management Commission this evening, which is a public record. Before this meeting, I responded to his letter and confirmed that records requested, records subject to an order from the Connecticut Freedom of Information Commission, remain outstanding. In my response, I remind Chair Kibbe that the Western COG, Council of Governments, POCD, requires life cycle cost analysis for projects requiring new infrastructure in regulated coastal flood zones. Also, the Norwalk POCD and current harbor management plan require local commission regulatory review for projects in regulated coastal flood zones. And this review includes review by the Norwalk Harbor Management Commission and the Shellfish Commission. My comments have always been in the public interest, and I thank you for paying attention and reading both the letter that Kibbe will share this evening and my response. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Linnell, I don't have a handy copy of your letter. I did not say that I would read it into the record tonight. I don't know where you got that idea. I think is everyone in the commission that's here received Linnell's letter? You raise your hand.
Yes.
I don't see a need to read it, and I don't have a copy here that I could easily get to without fiddling around for a long time with my computer. So I think that because we have received the letter, it's on file with the commission, and everybody here seems to have had the opportunity to read it. I think we can move on. Is that all right, Linnell?
Oh, I apologize. Hold on. Let me give her permission to speak again. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I made my comment, sir. The letter's a public record.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you very much, Ms. Jones. Anyone next to speak?
If anyone else who's attending would like to speak, please use the raise your hand feature. I believe that's it for tonight.
Thanks, Amelia. Moving right along to the minutes of May 28th and a special meeting April 30th.
Yep.
Lori.
So we have two sets of minutes to approve tonight. The first is our special meeting with the law department held on April 30th, 2025. These were attached to the agenda link that Amelia mailed out, so hopefully you all had a chance to review them. They actually were distributed even prior to that. So could I have a motion, please, to approve those minutes, unless anybody has any changes?
So moved.
No,
A second,
I'll second that.
No,
all in favor?
All right, as the special, with regard to our meeting, the minutes for our May 28th meeting as
I'm
amended.
not there yet. I'm not there yet, John. This is
Oh,
the
I'm sorry.
April.
Oh, this
This
is
is
just, oh, for the April minutes. I'm sorry.
Right.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, great. Amelia, can you pull up the May minutes?
Will do.
Thank you. So these are the minutes from our regular meeting held on May 28th, 2025. As is our protocol going forward, you've all seen these twice. And if Amelia scrolls down, what is highlighted in red are Dr. Pinto's comments, so that we will approve those revisions here tonight. There you go. So this on page 6 under Jeff Stebbins' consultant report, John corrected my SHIIP to SHIPP, which is an acronym for Small Harbor Improvement Projects Program. That's it. So if that change is okay with you all, I would like to request a motion to approve the minutes of our May meeting.
I make a motion.
Second,
I'll second that.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thanks. So Secretary's report is done.
Thanks, Laurie. Moving right along to application review committee, Dr. Pinto,
Yes.
take it away.
Thank you very much, Chairman Gibby. Unfortunately, this is not a marathon run that we had last month, but at least there's certainly a number of applications to review. The first one on our agenda is amendment by the for the Planning and Zoning 2025, which was this 41R zoning regulation text amendment to Articles 4, allowing commercial recreation establishments within a CD4 and a CD4W zone. And also what was mentioned was a CD3C zoning, which I went over, it was not located on the zoning map in the city. I did not see that unless anybody else did see that. But rather, there was a CD3W zone, which is in the Harbor Commission's purview and review for recommendations dealing with the harbor. These comments were sent around to Mr. Gifford and Mr. McDonald. And what I'll do is I'll read those, what we had come up. There was no, unless, Chris, did you have any recommendations additional to what?
I did get a chance to read them. I didn't have any comment on them.
Okay.
In general, they're allowing, recreational use like pool halls. They talked about the axe throwing type thing, other recreation like that. I think it's limited for the I forget, they've reduced the square footage for these, allowing it in different zones, like for example 3W or 4W. I don't know if it went down to 4W, but they're fairly small square footages as compared
Well,
to
most of it is along the Water Street area and
Right.
Upper Harbor area. And then the CD3W is right around Vantage Point area, that area hall in there, which is
right, yeah.
so it was a very small area, but nonetheless, we were asked to comment on that because it did have reference to establishments in and around the harbor dealing with parking and other amenities that they talked about. And what we had proposed, and I'll sort of, if you allow me to read, is that pursuant to the authority granted under the Connecticut General Statutes 22A 113. Wait a minute, I gotta enlarge this here. I can't even see here. Excuse me, let me change my glasses. It's tough getting. Okay, 22A 113N and the Norwalk Code of Ordinances And in accordance with the goals and policies set forth in the city-approved harbor management plan, the Harbor Management Commission submits the following recommendations to Planning and Zoning Commission. These recommendations pertain to the regulations and guidance of business and development activity in the CD4, CD4W, and they put CD3C, which I indicated is not located on the zoning map, but rather what is located on the zoning map is a CD3W zones, particularly where such activity may affect coastal and navigational resources in Norwalk Harbor. And so what we suggested is an amendment to their wording is that in the CD4, CD4W, and CD3W zones, prioritize water-dependent uses, which is what we've always discussed within the Harbor Management Plan. Review non-water dependent development to avoid interference with existing or future water-dependent uses. Ensure public waterfront access features align with city waterfront design guidelines. Ensure that site plans are consistent with the Harbor Management Plan and POCD. Promote climate resilient design in flood-prone areas, which they are, that allow FEMA and Connecticut DEP standards and guidelines. Protect scenic resources and maintain waterfront character that complement harbor setting. Mitigate environmental impacts, including stormwater runoff, shoreline erosion, and habitat disruption, which all, again, pertains to, again, within our harbor management plan, and address parking and access conflicts, assess conflicts so not to impede waterfront areas and public facilities. So those are the recommendations that we put forward to the commission for review to be sent to planning and zoning. I think this is from Brian Baker.
Yes, question I have, I presume those two zones are subject to the city of Norwalk noise regulations too, because these are close to the water. So any kind of amplified music or anything like that is going to be disruptive to.
Well, probably not only disruptive, but as we've had in the past, Alan, and you're absolutely right about that, is the magnification that happens, in waterfront over the water. We've had issues, for example, with people in Harbor View who've complained about noise from Cove Marina when they used to have bands in that area, and they would hear it on the other side. So you're absolutely correct. So perhaps we can add that one statement there as far as being cognizant of the fact that noise travels certainly more over the water if they do have bands or whatever. I guess we can certainly add that.
Unless that's covered under the city or general ordinances.
That I don't know.
Well, this changes to the usage, not to like development parameters, not to land usage, not to structural modifications or anything. This is just about what you're allowed to do in any given zone, and then a modification in the square footage for such establishments.
Well, I think I think the city ordinance does have that, for waterfront properties as far as the noise restrictions that occur, and the magnification that does occur, I guess, over the harbor. Let me put it that way, because there's no other buildings that do block the noise. But I'm certainly open for further discussion on that, Alan, as far as that's concerned.
To you, it's up to the group.
Yeah.
There's something I'm always concerned about with waterfront properties.
I certainly agree, but I don't know what the city ordinance has with regard to sort of the noise ordinance in and around the harbor. I'm not familiar with that right now.
I'd just like to say that I also received complaints of I know I put it out an email. I get complaints of the rowers, the skiffs early in the morning with the blowhorn, with the bullhorn, coaching their crew, and I get complaints over in Marvin Beach. And I know I put an email out to all the road clubs about the noise ordinance, and that the city's noise ordinance, anything 7:30 is not permissible. So I don't know if that also is included in that, John.
No, that I didn't see, Bruce. I said nothing was actually mentioned as far as what I saw in the amendment that they had. but it was mainly the type of establishments that they would allow. But I think from our perspective, the comments that we put down over here are things that deal particularly what we have in the harbor management plan, and also according to city code that would pertain to establishments in and around that area. Again, dealing with public trust aspects with regard to visualization of the harbor, don't block, not blocking, public access to the waterway, that type of thing. As I said, what we have down here are some of the items that are.
But I don't think that's what we're commenting on, John. That was my issue. This is a usage thing. It's not about anything to do with the buildings themselves or changing a building or building, developing a building, developing space, blocking access, not blocking access. That's an entirely different thing. So let me put up what they're actually asking us to review.
Well, I saw that. Yeah, right. Yeah, I saw what they had access, what they wanted us to review. But as I said,
Well, I don't think it's. Well. So do you see the screen now? So what they're asking is that this is a usage chart. So CD4 and CD4W, and this is the Marine Commercial District on Water Street, for example. They want to allow commercial recreational establishments in existing structures. This is a usage thing that has nothing to do with buildings or modifying buildings or anything to do with development itself. It's a usage, what's allowed and what's not allowed. And so they want to add, I'm not sure the difference between P and PL.
I can jump in on that. P
Yeah,
is permitted like an over-the-counter zoning permit, and then PL is permitted with limitations.
Right. Okay.
But that's what
Permitted,
it's
limited,
showing,
yeah.
the limitations down below.
Right. Okay. So and then the limitations have to do with the square footage of the establishment allowed. And we're concerned with shall not exceed a floor area of 15,000 square feet in 4W.
all right. So, but do the proposals that we have here interfere with or have any contradiction what they want us to provide?
Well, we're commenting, yeah, but it's like commenting on the color of the building. It's irrelevant to this modification. Or the height of the building. It's irrelevant to this. The noise is irrelevant. There's a whole set of codes that govern that. You can't have every code in every section, every requirement of all codes in all sections. And it's, I think we should focus on what this is. Should they be allowed to have commercial recreational establishments?
Yeah, I agree with Chris on that. I just want to be sure
no
that
problem
those-
with that, but they can have commercial, so long as they can mitigate, like we pointed out, environmental impacts, address parking access conflicts, that deal with issues that were associated with them in and around the harbor,
And those are all governed, those issues are all covered under the other portions of the zoning regulations, but those aren't being changed. So those standards will still be in effect, and anyone who comes in with an application to do this will still have to meet all of the requirements of the zoning regulations in full, but they're just making these small changes, though it wouldn't affect any other portion of the zoning regulations that's not listed here.
Yeah,
John,
that answers my question, Amelia. Thank you.
all right.
John, it's Jeff.
Yes, Jeff.
As we talked about before, wouldn't the finding on this be to have no objection to it, as what's being proposed is not expected to affect the harbor, but with the understanding that future proposals that are submitted would be reviewed by the Harbor Management Commission according to the current requirements. Any future development proposals for this would be reviewed. But as Chris said, the actual proposal that's before us is not expected to affect the harbor, and therefore the commission would have no objection to it.
Well, that's true. Basically, I have no objection to that. What I was doing is suggesting that we add certain restrictions or requirements that if anything else in addition that goes in that area, that those would be abided by.
Mhm.
But as Amelia had pointed out, if that's considered under other aspects within that POCD, then this would be a moot point.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's a move.
Yeah, I think yeah, it's a moot point.
All right. Well, then we would go ahead and say that we have no objections with the current language that they have what they have down here. It's in the items in red that that we're asked to comment on. I mean, as we looked at that, a special permit is required for any commercial recreational establishment over 20,000 square foot. I can't see. Wait a minute. square feet and in floor area. And I thought if any, let's see, where does it say here? Yeah, a special permit is required for any a commercial recreation establishment over 20,000 square feet. And again, if there's going to be, now that's then any requirement that deals with new building in and around the harbor, the issues that we raised here then are under other aspects of the POCD that would
Right.
govern the requirements that we have here with regard to ensure the site plan is consistent with harbor management plan, POCD, promote climate resistant design that we've had in the past, protect scenic resources and maintain waterfront character that complement harbor setting. That would not pertain to this region here? Or that would be covered in other aspects with regard to the planning that they,
Yeah, the land use and the structure and all that are covered elsewhere. This is merely uses allowed inside a structure that's already been permitted and approved in every other way.
all right, so then our recommendation then would, that we would have no objection to the the amendment as the the commercial recreation establishment
Yeah.
shall be permitted in, that we have no objection to this amendment going forward then.
I'll make that motion.
All right,
I'll second that.
okay. All right. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Right. Any opposed? Okay, I'll send that, I'll get that letter out to Mr. Baker. All right, the next application is, I hope Mr. Ryder here, Tom Ryder is here from Land Tech.
Good evening.
Yeah, oh, great. So the next application is 163 Gregory Boulevard. It's a pre-application. The project is to construct a residential dock consisting of a 16-foot long by 4-foot long wide fixed pier supported by 4 piles, 36.5 foot long by 3 foot wide ramp and a 20-foot long by 5 foot wide float with a 6 foot by 5 foot landing supported by 2 piers. The dock provides water access to Charles Creek. Let me see if I can get that up for the review. I think this is in our, let me get that here. Okay. And Amelia, can I have
To share your screen?
share
You should
screen?
be able, yep, you should be able to.
Let's see.
Dr. Pinto, if you're having trouble, I can bring mine up as well. I have it ready to go.
I think I have that here. Let me see. Could everyone see? Let me see here. There. We see that?
Yep.
All right. So the application deals with now we're going to be looking at 2 different views of this particular project here. So this is Gregory Boulevard here. This is one view, and then the other views that they have has pretty much the same structure, but now we're looking at it from a different point of either north or south, I believe. I'm not exactly sure where. But these are the plans that are put forth here, where in this location in here, a dock will be extended off in this direction here. That's looking at it from left to right. Gregory Boulevard is going here. This view here is looking at it from I guess from right to left here, where the dock is going to be extended off in this direction here. Let's see if I can get it. And this is the other direction here, the other parameter that we're looking at here. The design was to extend the dock in this region here, Tom, and along with the ramp right there and the dock in this region. The concern that the commission has with regard to the placement of this dock deals with the proximity that it has to the sort of like the channel line. And the Charles Creek Association has a permit for the sort of rules and regulations as far as docking and the extent in which a facility can extend out close to that particular mark here, which is the channel line that we have. The new design that he had, let me see if I can get that here. Oops, that's not it. Was here where he had placed the vessel here at the end of this dock. And then this is sort of a mock vessel that would extend perhaps on a dock that was adjacent across the harbor, across the creek on both sides here to establish that if there were a vessel here, that the distance between the vessel that is lined here and lined here extends about 53.5 feet, Tom, that you had mentioned.
Correct.
The question is that the facility itself here has to be within the boundary line of that channel here, and that any vessel that is attached to here certainly can't extend within that within that region beyond that, as I understand. I think we sent around the Charles Creek permit to you. What I don't know is where that boundary line is right here. You know what I mean?
John, can I interrupt again, John?
Yeah, Jeff, sorry.
So just to be clear, there are two things that are relevant here. The first is the 2000, and Tom knows this.
Yeah, well, we sent him that permit application.
That's not a channel. It's a dredge footprint.
That's
And
right in this
it was a
region
certificate
right
of
here,
Permission to the Village Creek Association or the
Charles Creek
Charles
Association.
Creek Association for a dredged area. And then we reference that in the harbor management plan, that there will be
Right.
no fixed or floating structures within the boundaries of that permitted dredge footprint.
Right,
And then the second part of the equation here, also referenced in the harbor management plan, is that any boats that are tied or
tied
docked
to here.
to the structures must be so tied so as to maintain a 55-foot wide width across the waterway.
Right.
It's not that there's a designated channel.
No, it's not but it's a waterway here.
We've identified that dredge footprint as the fairway.
Right.
To be maintained free of any fixed and floating structures.
If I may.
Yes, Tom?
Okay. The instructions I was given at the last meeting was that I was going to revise the plans to show two vessels, one attached to our proposed dock, and another one, we were going to draw a line between the two docks on the opposite side of the channel, connect those two, and put a vessel attached to that imaginary line, which we did there. This is not the I have another figure that we submitted to you that shows the 53.5, which you referenced. And that is from the inside of the two vessels. There we go.
That's right here.
So we assumed, I think we all agreed that we were going to assume a 9-foot beam on both of the vessels, which we show. And then we showed a 53.5. You had sent me that dredging permit, and it did not reference anything about a recreational fairway or recreational channel. That is obviously is what Mr. Studman said was in your harbor management plan. So what we did, we were trying to figure, there was a discussion on whether it was going to be 50 or 55. We found a number of surveys that reference a 50-foot channel, a 50-foot pathway. And we have exceeded that by 53.5. If there is a 55-foot fairway, then we have another revised plan that I can provide to you today with a red date of today that shows that we have we've met that as well. So I don't actually know the width. The research that I've shown shows it to be a 50-foot. But if you are saying that your regulations require a 55, then we have a revised plan that shows we would meet that as well. And I can share that now if you'd like, or however you want to present that.
Yeah, no, the fairway here, I don't know where the fairway is in juxtaposition of where the end of this dock is, this dock here, or in relation to the boat here. I
Well,
mean,
that
I
wasn't-
know that's not on, I know that was on the permit. I didn't see it on the permit either, to be
Well,
honest.
but that's not what I was given as a task. My task was that you had asked for to show the two vessels and then show the distance between those two to show that there was an adequate spacing between them.
Correct.
That's what we've done. Yeah.
John, can I might say something, one more thing?
Yeah.
Tom, since the permittee or the certificate holder for that dredge footprint is the Charles Creek Association, do you have any communication with them as to whether they are supportive of the dock that, as you proposed?
I believe that the applicants, the property owner, has discussed that with them, but I don't have any writing or anything on that. No.
You don't know whether they've expressed support for it or an objection to it?
No, but as part of the DEP application process, which we are about to begin, we will be notifying them of that and keeping them involved, as part of the written application process.
That's correct. This is still a pre-application, in the pre-application
Right.
stage. Yeah. So, I mean, that would certainly be an important piece of information as far as we're concerned, whether they would allow, basically, because it's their permit that they have there, whether they're amenable to having the type. And again, this is just a hypothetical situation here because there's not going to be a boat
Correct.
located in this area right in here.
Correct.
Yeah. So a boat would mostly be, if there is a boat, it might be on this float over here, on the upper level here, and a float over here, a boat on this side over here, which
It was a very conservative representation of it, but again,
Right,
it was part of
that's
our
right.
discussion last week, for last time, for us to do that, so we can have a discussion with something to visualize.
That's correct. That's correct. Because as I said, we were unsure of exactly where that fairway extended in this region here to allow for that allowable distance to occur. And as I said, yes, what would be a hypothetical situation if a boat were placed on the opposite side, which then again, that would extend beyond a 50-foot or 50-foot width here from going from if a vessel here versus a vessel over here. Certainly there's ample space to go through. But again, whether the association is amenable to something like that, in which this dock right here or a vessel here extends within their fairway.
Well, like I said, we will address that. This is from the harbor management perspective, which we respect as part of this
Right.
process. And as
Right.
part of the DEP process, we will be more formally involved, getting them involved, as well as under the DEP application process, getting them involved in any comments as well.
All right, well then, as I said, I mean, I have no objection myself, and I'm sure the commission, we can go along, we can discuss this, that we have no objection to the application moving forward with the idea that we would have a chance to review that in its later form when more information becomes available, not only from your perspective, but also from the Charles Creek Association's perspective.
Yeah, but John, I think you'd also have to make reference to the policies of the harbor management plan that are applicable.
Well, then it would be
if-
inconsistent with the harbor management plan in that
If
case.
if the proposed dock would extend into that dredge
That in
footprint,
this dredge
it would
footprint
be
here,
inconsistent with the harbor
harbor
management
management
plan.
plan, that's correct.
That has to be addressed in the application process along with the comments
Right.
from the Charles Creek Association.
That's correct. Yeah,
And-
because as I
and-
said,
and
I don't know where that stands though, too, Jeff, where,
No. But it brings up an issue with the application process, and it's not Tom's fault, of course.
no, it's not.
But the commission doesn't have the benefit of the input from adjoining property owners, or in this case, the association, prior to making a recommendation in the pre-application stage.
Well, as I said, we could certainly make a recommendation. Well, we can have inconsistent with the harbor management plan but we'd have no objection to the application moving forward with addition that further information would become available when both parties.
But we don't know
Yeah.
now that it is inconsistent because we don't know that the relationship of the proposal to that.
Hopefully
to that
that's what we would find out.
That's what we have to find out and we have to make
Right.
clear that has to be addressed in the regulatory process.
Right.
Is the-
Right, because we don't know where the footprint is. We don't know if it's consistent or inconsistent with the plan. However, I will make a motion that we move this forward, that we have no objection with moving this forward.
Yeah, I second that motion.
Yeah, I'll second that because it's just you use our standard language, John, and I
Yes.
think we should be covered.
No, that's, I agree with that. As I said, it's not a major issue, but as I said, something that we would need certainly discussion from a third party.
Right.
Where would
So-
we find, where would we find information about what the dredge footprint is?
I'm
Do
not
we
sure
have that
they-
in your files, John?
No, I don't. As a matter of fact, what was very helpful is Mr. Hiltz in the last meeting had that because he was involved with the application process when Charles Creek went ahead for their permit in in this area right here. So he graciously sent that to us. This dates back to, I think it's 2002, 2001, somewhere around there.
It's 2000, John, and we provided it to Tom, right, or to Tom right after the last
Well,
meeting.
yes, when Mr. Hiltz sent that to us, we turned it around to and we sent it to Mr. Ryder
Yes.
to review, and that maybe something would come of that. But as I said, that information was not, to my knowledge, on that permit itself that I saw.
Correct.
Right. So does our response now need to reference the harbor management plan, even to the point of saying we will determine if it's consistent based on information from Charles Creek Association, et cetera? Or do we just say can we just say we have no objection to it moving forward at this time?
And then we have the opportunity to review.
Well, yes, that's right, as we've always done in the past.
Yep.
I mean, I certainly have no problem with that. As I said,
Okay.
Yeah.
the distance, there's enough room in there for vessels to go by. But again, I think as far as our plan is concerned, we do have policy with regard to having any established structure, within that fairway. Where that fairway exists right now, I'm not exactly sure based on the current permit.
Where are we gonna find that?
Well, I'm
Jeff,
hoping
do
that
you
Charles.
have a
Creek-
map or?
Well,
sir?
only with that Charles Creek permit that was given to us from Mr. Hiltz. That's all that was.
Right. And Charles Creek can decide whether they want to place docks within that dredge permit area. It's not a federal channel.
Yeah,
No,
Right.
I mean, Village Creek dredges their fairway in their basin, and then they place a dock in the middle of it. There's nothing preventing Village Creek from placing docks in Village Creek's dredging area, as well as any other property owner.
Right.
So Charles Creek would have to say, it's okay or it's not okay for somebody in the association to place a dock within the dredging permitted area. The dredging permitted area itself doesn't exclude docks.
But
We
like I
don't
said,
know
as
where
far-
that documentation exists, right?
Well, it's up to Charles Creek
Charles Creek
Association
has
to
that.
tell us.
Chris,
And whether-
interestingly, as Jeff mentioned, our harbor management plan restricts anything in that fairway.
It does.
So I
Okay.
don't know if Charles Creek Association has the ability to override that. It says specifically no floating or fixed structure in the
But-
dredge fairway.
Right, but
But if we were to waive that, there would have to be there's always an opportunity for compelling reasons to.
to the contrary, yes.
to do
And that
something
eventually would
differently.
fall into DEP's, DEP's purview.
But I think we should identify those issues that have to be addressed and our continued attention to them. And as always, when to make a final decision about consistency with the harbor management plan would be done at the time that there's a public notice or a public hearing on it. But Lori is correct that the harbor management plan policy is very specific about no.
That's correct.
But we don't know what's happened since then. Since in the last 25 years, whether the Charles Creek Association has allowed docks to extend into that, but that's all has to be addressed in the regulatory process now. But we can't stop the applicant from going forward with.
No,
the
that's correct.
application.
That's what I said. So I would have no problem as Mr. Mangles had proposed that indicate that it is at current time, it is inconsistent with the harbor management plan, but we would have no objection for the application moving forward until we require additional information from Charles Creek and or when it goes out to public comment.
Okay, so
Brilliant.
that motion's been made and seconded. So at this point,
I think we just on to the next one now, right?
well, I think we need to vote. All
We
We
in
need a
favor?
vote.
Oh, right.
All right.
All in favor?
Although,
Aye.
okay, all those in favor of that proposal, just
Aye.
aye, okay. Any abstentions? Any nays? Okay, so moved. All right, we'll get that letter out as well. Okay,
Thank you for all for your time tonight. Thank you.
all right, thank you very much, Tom. Okay. The next application is, let's see, that was number 2, was Mr. Hiltz's application, which involved the Cove Marine bulkhead, a breakwater rather, which he has indicated that, and we asked for additional information with regard to wind and wave action as far as putting up that bulkhead, and I guess they're still in the process of discussing, based on information that we sent Mr. Hiltz last month, and he says they're still in the process of reviewing that, and has
And Mr. Hiltz has no report on that.
no report on that. And so we will not cover that at this meeting. Moving on to item number 4, which involves 48, again, Calf Pasture Beach Road at Cove Marina, which is the bulkhead COP. And I think Mr. Tim I was having a problem. Di Bartolomeo as the PE for the applicant. It's a certificate of permission for repairs to an existing steel sheet pile bulkhead, remove the existing and replace and restore the damaged bulkhead. And we have, let's see if I can get this up here. Tim, this is the area here that we were discussing.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know, I'm not sure. No, those are still John's drawings.
Oh, John's, okay, wait a minute.
Yeah, I have a set of drawings. I can bring up, there's a separate application.
Yeah, I
Even
thought I
though
had.
John and I are working together.
Right, well, that's why everything was so.
It's a little confusion. It's
It
no big
was.
deal. So, yeah, there's our.
Right. Okay, this is it here. Okay.
Oh, that's Land Tech.
No, that's,
Oh,
no.
Oh, no, that's the next. Yeah,
That's 10 Nathan
all we
Hill.
got was this letter here. That was it. There was nothing else that was it was involved in Mr. Hiltz's part of Mr. Hiltz's application.
I can bring my drawing up if it's easier.
All right, yeah, that would be, because I don't think I have it here in our packet right here.
Okay,
Let me stop sharing.
okay.
Okay.
All right, where's my sharing button? Here we go. Just bear with me one moment. I'll bring it up. Okay, can you see that?
Not yet.
Oh,
There you go.
We
Now
can.
it's in.
Okay, actually the photo, that's, I'll move to the drawings, but this is actually a photo of the wall. We're proposing to replace, first of all, this is Norwalk Cove Marina, and this is what's referred to as the North Yard. Okay,
Right, okay.
and there's 158 feet of bulkhead that is in this condition that they want to oversheet this fall. So that's the work right there, and I will go to drawings. Okay, there's the main basin here in the lower part of the drawing, and we're talking about 158 feet from this corner to, I'm sorry, to right about here, I guess. I have a blow up view. There's a area that you saw in that photo that's eroded land in that area. Here's the 158 feet right there. Okay. A little blow up view right there. It's a very simple application. The old steel coming out, new steel will be going in. Typical section, what's going on there. So this is the old condition, current condition. We'll be tying it back with a dead man system. Again, no new encroachment. It's just a replacement in kind.
And Tim, this is connected to the breakwater on the other end?
No, it has nothing to do with it. It's
Okay,
completely
all right.
separate.
Okay,
Absolutely, yeah. That, which is why John and I are working sort of together but separately.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Tim,
'cause it
this
was
is
a bit-
basically the same design they just finished like a year or two ago with another portion, right?
Yeah.
It's exactly the same design.
Just continuing that around the horseshoe and up
Yep.
that other section. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Like I said, I don't think does any commissioners have any other additional comment with regard to this application? As I said, it's very straightforward application, and we do support, bulkhead, reinforcement of the shoreline, et cetera.
John, this would, as we talked about, be consistent with the harbor management plan. I
Yeah.
think we should suggest, because the plan supports timely maintenance and
Timely
repair
maintenance of-
existing shore protection structures and provided it appropriate best management practices are employed during the
during the
work
construction
to
process,
protect the
yeah.
harbor.
Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
Very
Suggest that.
straightforward.
Yeah, I'll second that
I'm happy to
motion.
make that motion.
All right, no, thank you, Laurie.
I'll second it.
Okay, all right, Jeff. All right. All right, let me move that here. All right, and all those in favor of that proposal?
Aye.
All right, aye. Any opposition? Any abstentions? All right, moving forward. All right, that's great. Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, so moving along. Thank you, Lori. The next application is at 10 Nathan Hill Drive. And this is proposed work is scheduled to be done in phases. And the first phase includes the removal of the southern deck to remove the removal of a float west of the wall. I don't have the diagram here. Let me see if I do have that diagram.
John, I'm going to recuse myself from this one because I'm a
was going
member
to
at Norwalk.
suggest, I understand. That's right, Lori. Thank you very much for bringing that up. Yes. All right. And we have Mr. Tom Ryder here. As I pointed out, the project will be completed in phases. The first phase is the southern seawall and deck area, in which there's an initial removal, the removal of the southern wooden deck. There's a float west of the wall, and any obstructive piles are going to be removed. Work will occur from a barge during mid to high tide. There's going to be a seawall reconstruction to install a turbidity curtain. They plan to do a turbidity curtain waterward of the seawall. There's going to be working northward. They're going to remove 40-foot sections of boulders from the 300 linear foot seawall using a barge-mounted excavator and land-based equipment. The boulders will be stored upland, and submerged boulders will only be disturbed if necessary. And they talk about rebuilding each section using the same equipment, relocating the turbidity curtain as work progresses. And then there's going to be a crane pad area, which they plan to, I guess, refurbish. They're going to excavate the asphalt around this crane foundation, install helical piles and epoxy-coated rebar into the footing. And then going to backfill with concrete the area and remove boulders and pour concrete around the exposed footer and reconstruct the wall using new concrete, et cetera. And they're going to finish the southern section and reconstruct the seawall. And then there's phase 2, which is the northern section of the seawall near the clubhouse area. They plan to do work on the seawall. There's going to be a shed area they're going to, I guess, improve, and then they're going to a final boulder adjustment for repositioning remaining boulders north of the boat. So, Tom, if you'd like to sort of help us through that application, we can move forward with this.
Yeah, I think what you just described is exactly what's happening. There are 3 phases. The first phase is what you described. It's the southern section going around from the deck, the wall, and up to just north of the crane activity. The second phase is around the clubhouse, which includes a wall that's parallel with the southern portion of the clubhouse, is a little beach cove, and then along the parallel with, so it's kind of an L-shaped area along with the river. And then there is that will be a second phase part of that, which will include the shed. There's a concrete patio area that needs to be removed and replaced. It's kind of out of repair. And then the third area is just repairing stones as needed north of the clubhouse. Those are going to be done over multiple years. The application that we're submitting to the DEP is for the entire process. And we have submitted an application, a consultation form for you as part of the entire process.
Yeah,
Those are good figures there, good pictures there to help describe.
Yeah, so here's that crane area you're going to be refurbishing here. So this is the area here that you're going to be refurbishing. Imagine, right?
Right. That's on the bottom right of that, wherever the cursor is the deck. This is a lead up to the deck that's going to be removed. That's a concrete pad to it, but behind that there's a deck that there it is. That deck is going to be taken down. All the piles are going to be replaced. Prior to the being replaced, they're going to fix that section of the wall and then replace that in the same footprint. We have a structural engineer on designing all of this, and then then it continues northward is what you're showing here for that
Right.
section of the wall.
Southern facing wall, and then the crane area. This is going to be refurbished all in here.
Right, that concrete, the crane will be removed. The concrete pad will be taken out. There is a micro piles that's going to be putting back in. The whole pad will be redone, and then the wall will be reconstructed waterward of that pad. Everything is in the same footprint as it exists today.
And the shed is going to be this is the clubhouse. This is going to be refurbished here.
No, that's the clubhouse. That's not going to be touched.
Oh,
That
okay.
wall that's in the foreground there, there's a beach.
Oh, right here.
Wall there. That is no longer linear. That's going to be taken down and put back to the way it was originally designed or originally constructed. And then it'll go around the left-hand side of that picture. There is where the wall would continue along parallel with the river.
Any of the commissioners have any comment in regard to the proposed work?
And
Do we have
it
any
seems
time
like it's
frame
all
on this,
replacement kind, so that shouldn't be an issue.
I'm sorry, Chris.
It sounds like it's all replace in kind.
Yes, it is all replacement.
Yes.
And it's all over the winter months. We're going to be starting in October, November timeframe, and do what we can in the first year, and then open up the yacht club, in May, and then do the rest of it in the second year, and then finish up in the third year.
John, can I make
Yes,
ask a
John.
question?
Yes.
Tom, I thought you said that just recently, that just a little while ago, this is a pre-submission. I thought this was being requested through a certificate of permission. Am I incorrect about that?
Oh, yes, I think I misspoke on that one. This is a COP. It has been sent to you for notification of what is going on. That's correct.
And
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
work-
This is a COP, Jeff. I didn't. Did I say a pre-application?
no, Tom mentioned that.
I
but-
mentioned that. Yeah, I think I misspoke on that one. Yes, correct.
But the work all predates 1939, so it's not presently permitted. Is the applicant simply trying to? This is not the result of any sort of deep notice or order to correct anything. This is the
No.
applicant's own initiative to replace and in kind what's there that predates 1939.
That's correct. We are the wall was pre-39, and we are now at the point where we need to reconstruct it.
And so I think the motion, John, would just be the same as just discussed for the Cove Marina bulkhead.
Right, that it is consistent again with shoring up again an existing construct.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so I certainly have, again, myself anyway, no objection to again, moving this forward, again, that it does support, I mean, the harbor management plan does support the timely
Maintenance.
maintenance of the bulkhead and shoreline structures.
Yeah, it's consistent with the plan, in my
Right.
opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So would anyone like to
I make a motion, move that.
I'll
to,
second that.
who's the second on that, please?
I'll second.
No, I'm sorry, who's that? I'm sorry.
Chris White.
Oh, Chris, I'm sorry, Chris, thank you.
All good.
Okay. All right, all those in favor of that application moving, again, have no objection to the application, again, having it being consistent with the plan and moving forward with the application.
Aye.
All those in favor? Okay. Any objections? We have one abstention, which would be Ms. Jones. And so that letter will go out, Tom. I'm sorry, yeah, Tom, very shortly from the commission. I'll get that to you.
Thank you for your time this evening.
Okay.
And take care.
Yeah, and for the record, Lori, she recused herself, which is different than an abstention.
I'm sorry. I'm
Right.
sorry. Yeah, thank you, Chris. That's right. She recused herself. I guess she is a member of that club?
Yeah.
She
Okay,
is.
yeah, I'm sorry. That's right. I misspoke on that one. That's correct. She recused herself on that. Okay, the next application is at 220 Gregory Boulevard, which is a CAM application. And the project involves the reconfiguration of the existing site to improve the functional layout of the property. Specifically, the existing tennis courts will be removed and reconstructed along the northeastern corner of the property so that all of the facilities, tennis courts, will be proximate to each other. There's going to be a new parking area will be constructed in the north of the existing club in the location of the existing 2 tennis courts. And existing tennis courts require extensive repairs. So the club is looking to redesign the existing layout to better facilitate the use of the existing land. And the proposed parking area will be closer to the clubhouse exit, providing more convenient access for members and guests. The existing pro shop will also be demolished and rebuilt so that it is FEMA compliant. And the area around the existing pro shop will also have landscaping installed. Stormwater management will be designed to keep the requirements of the city, to maintain the requirements of the city of Norwalk engineering standards and the 2024 Connecticut Deep Stormwater Quality Manual. They talk about stormwater management will include the installation of a hydrodynamic separator and underground stormwater detention chambers in the area of the former tennis courts that are being removed. And they talked about the proposed stormwater management system will meet the requirements of the city of Norwalk stormwater maintenance requirements, regulations, and the 224 Connecticut DEP Stormwater Quality Manual. Again, that was certainly a main concern, again, as far as perhaps runoff from the new tennis courts, including any material and how they would treat, again, that runoff. I'm not sure where the proximity of those tennis courts are to the harbor. And I'm not, let's see, who the agent is for that. Was it?
I am, Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Okay, please. If you wanted to sort of help us through that.
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the Harbor Management Commission. My name is Liz Succi. I'm a partner at Carmody Torrance, Sandak and Hennessy, and we represent the applicants, which are the Norwalk Country Club Company, the owner of the property, and Shore and Country Club, which is the lessee. The property, as Chairman Pinto indicated, is at 220 Gregory Boulevard. It's located in the CD1M zone and within the boundary of the Coastal Area Management Zone. There are AE12, AE14, and VE14 designations on the property. As was mentioned, the Shore and Country Club has existed for well over 100 years. There's a 2.5-story, 14,000 square foot clubhouse with dining facilities and gathering facilities that was constructed around 1908. There's a new bathhouse, new in that it was constructed in 2017, 10 tennis courts, a 98 slip marina on Charles Creek, kiddie pool and another pool. The property is largely impervious right now, consisting of paved surfaces, concrete walkways, and wood decking. There is also an existing seawall that was constructed either in the late 1950s or early 1960s, which will remain untouched and is not have any part of this application, nor are we making any revisions to it or suggesting any changes at this point. As Commissioner and Chairman Pinto just indicated, this is part of an overall master plan for Shore and Country Club, but this application to the Planning and Zoning Commission by way of a coastal site plan application consists of 3 component parts. One is to create a compliant, FEMA compliant 1,500 square foot new tennis hut pro shop. And that is significantly distant from the edges of any of the coastal resources, that whether that be the Norwalk Harbor to the west or Charles Creek to the east. The tennis hut would be at the FEMA minimum 12 foot plus 2 additional feet, which is required by Norwalk zoning. We will be reconfiguring the northwest corner of the property where there are 2 tennis courts right now. Those 2 tennis courts will be removed, and that area, as was indicated, will become about 78 parking spaces, better configured with appropriate drainage and landscaping in accordance with city requirements. 2 additional 2 tennis courts would then be constructed on the northern section of the property adjacent to existing tennis courts right now with additional landscaping. That's generally the overview of the project. Andy Soumalides, professional engineer with Land Tech, is on and can certainly discuss and explain to you what the stormwater management plan is. But we just wanted to let you know that all work is landward of the coastal jurisdiction line and in areas that are already disturbed and have been disturbed for some period of time. The project, we believe, is consistent with Coastal Management Act and the City of Norwalk requirements and your harbor management plan. But at this point, maybe Andy could come on, just show you the site plan and answer any other specific questions you may have.
Yeah, I think, yes, thank you, Ms. Suchi. I think because I think with the new establishment of these tennis courts, certainly, I'm not sure about, runoff requirements. And again, the material that is used on these courts and whether water sediment and runoff would be managed in a way that would increase the or decrease, I should say, the availability of material going into the harbor. That's probably the main concern.
Certainly, Dr. Pinto, I'm sure Mr. Soumalides can answer all of those questions.
Good evening. For the record, Andy Soumalides. I'm a principal and professional engineer with Land Tech. I'll just quickly share and show you folks the site plan. Let me zoom out first just to get you oriented. So you have Gregory Boulevard and the main entrance into the club here, Dorland Street here, Norwalk Harbor to the west and south, and then Charles Creek here off to the east. So we're looking to reorganize the northwest corner of the property. Currently, there exists 2 tennis courts here.
Mm-hmm.
Here on the bottom of the screen is the existing main clubhouse. We're taking these 2 tennis courts and moving them here where the rest of the tennis facility is and where there's currently asphalt parking.
Mm-hmm.
We are reintroducing parking where those tennis courts were, again, in closer connection to the clubhouse. We introduce landscape islands throughout this project, one required per the code. So reducing impervious surfaces just in this general area by 10,000 plus square feet. So a huge reduction in impervious surfaces.
Okay.
That was one of the first, goals of providing water quality treatment. We are doing these basically micro rain gardens within the landscaped islands to handle the stormwater runoff from this new parking area. And then the stormwater runoff from the tennis court and this little bit of new asphalt, it'll be new, but over existing. This tennis court will sheet flow here to the west, and there's various catch basins here that pick up the stormwater into an underground detention system, infiltration system. It'll treat the water quality volume. High overflows will then connect into the main drainage system and outflow out into the harbor. So again, this is the pro shop that was mentioned earlier, adjacent to these tennis facilities. There's an existing small pro shop and small, like kiddie tennis court here. Again, we'll introduce a bunch of landscaping around this new pro shop that'll be now FEMA compliant. So a huge reduction in impervious surfaces and a huge addition of drainage infrastructure here to provide, the necessary water quality. Happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Kibbe, Chairman Kibbe.
I'm sorry, John. Yeah, I was trying to tell you, I have to recuse myself from this vote because I'm a member of the club.
Oh, thank you, Alan. All right. All right, the commissioners have any further comment on this CAM application? Again, I think the main concern, again, was stormwater runoff and management of any runoff from those tennis courts or the parking lot, that might disturb or hopefully minimize the stormwater, the impact that stormwater runoff has, in Norwalk Harbor. If that's the case, then certainly that would be consistent with our harbor management plan, and that we, certainly would improve the drainage system prior to what its current status is, and that it certainly markedly decreases the impact that the stormwater runoff would have on infiltrating the harbor.
I'll make that motion.
John, can I make a comment first?
Yeah, yes, Jeff.
Yeah, just a question to the engineer. In your application, it's written that, your work is consistent with state and local water quality standards and does not degrade water quality. But you can attest, though, based on what you said tonight, that it's not just it won't degrade water quality, but can you say that it will result in a substantial improvement to existing stormwater and water quality conditions?
Well, that's what I thought I heard him say.
That statement, and yes,
Yeah,
it will be a huge improvement to the existing conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking at what was written, and then so I think it's clearly it would be consistent with the harbor management plan, with the recommendation, though, that the condition of approval should be some sort of condition for perpetual maintenance of your subsurface containment areas, and that there would be best management practices during the work.
Right. Well, that's usually goes along with the standard statement that we have with regard to monitoring water quality into the harbor. That's right. That a maintenance schedule be maintained for cleaning out the Coltech system if it is, and sort of maintaining the future use of those Coltech systems and preventing any runoff into the harbor and minimizing the impact that it would have on the harbor.
Yeah, and as part of our CAM application, we've submitted a operation maintenance plan report for the stormwater maintenance of those in perpetuity.
Yeah. Chris.
Is there an oil water separator part of this water retention system?
There is not. There's an existing hydrodynamic separator on the east part of the parking lot that currently exists and will remain as part of this, but there's not a new one for this. So we did basically low impact development by reducing impervious surfaces, introducing, vegetated swales and these bioplanters, and then infiltration through the Coltech systems.
I don't have any further questions. Are you looking for a motion?
Yes, Chris.
There's already a motion.
Already had a motion on the floor.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know a second or what?
Yes.
What else are you waiting on? I guess at this
Second.
point. Okay.
John, I'll second.
I'd like to include that maintenance phrase.
Yes, well, we would do. That's a standard. Yeah, again, listing that we have, Matt, when it deals with water quality as far as its improvement. We also require a maintenance schedule for maintaining these stormwater runoff systems. Yeah, so that will be included in the statement of request.
Okay, I'd like to move that forward then.
Okay.
Is that a second?
Matt, second in that?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Matt Gifford seconded it.
Matt Gifford, thank you. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any abstentions? And we have just one recusal.
Thank you all.
Thank you all for your time.
Great. Thank you. Very nice.
Thank you. All right, and our last application is at 38 South Beach Drive. This is, again, it's a CAM application. And the applicant is proposing to raise the elevation of an existing dwelling structure and construct additions to the same, demolish the existing garage, construct a new garage structure, and construct associated site improvements. No work is proposed seaward of the seawall, and the proposed project includes raising the elevation of the existing dwelling to meet BFE requirements of the city of Norwalk, which elevates the living space above the flood zone elevations. Further reference is made to flood zone compliance. Review memo prepared by Race Coastal Engineering, which indicates that the proposed site improvements will not create adverse impacts with respect to flooding at the site or adjacent properties when compared to the effective FEMA BFE. BFE is the base flood elevation. The work proposed is landward of the existing seawall and will not have impact on the shorefront resources. Raising the elevation of the existing residence will bring the structure into compliance with respect to the base flood elevation. Right. And I think, is that Ms. Suchi, is this part of your application as well?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it
Yeah,
is another
okay.
one of my applications.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
So,
thank you, Mr. Chairman, and members of the commission. Again, for the record, my name is Liz Suchi, a partner at Carmy Torrance and Sandak and Hennessy. I represent the owner of the property, which is 38 SBD LLC. Michael Angelakis, who is a principal in 38 SBD LLC, is present tonight, as is Vincent Hines, professional engineer who prepared the stormwater management system and all the civil engineering plans that we can share with you this evening. Just a little bit of information. This property is at 38 South Beach Drive. It is the CD1S zone. It is both it has both the VE15 and the AE15 zone designations for it. It's approximately 0.26 of an acre, and it is improved with a single family dwelling that today does not comply with the FEMA minimum flood elevation of 15 feet plus 2 feet required by the city of Norwalk. Currently, it is at 12.2. The proposal that is before you that has been presented by way of a coastal site plan application is to remove some small portions of the structure, construct a new garage that would be FEMA compliant with the requisite flood vents, and actually the garage would be set back further into the property, providing greater sight lines for those coming in and out of Golden Court. Right now, the garage is basically up against the property line, right at the edge of South Beach Drive. Small additions are proposed, but the most significant component of this application is to elevate the dwelling to make the finished floor at 15 plus 2, which would then be compliant with FEMA and the city of Norwalk zoning regulations. It's really a rather straightforward application. It is taking this dwelling and basically lifting it to meet FEMA. Various variances were granted by the Zoning Board of Appeals in May, which were the result of elevating the house to meet FEMA requirements. We don't believe there are any impacts to the coastal resource, which is namely Long Island Sound, and that's on the bottom part of your screen, or any adjoining properties. We have a full and robust stormwater management plan, and Mr. Hines can go into that in further detail if you'd like, but is a very typical application that has come before you to elevate structures in and around the coastal zone in Norwalk that do not meet the FEMA requirements. If you have questions of me, I'm happy to answer them, but perhaps Mr. Hines could just walk you through this plan very quickly. Should you have any questions of him, obviously feel free to ask and we'd be happy to answer.
no, thank you, Ms. Suchi.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Vincent Hines, a licensed engineer with Redness and Mead, having offices in Stamford and Wilton. Our office has provided the site engineering for this project here at 38 South Beach Drive. If there are any site plan specific comments, I'd be happy to respond, but I guess I'll start with a short overview. The site is, as Liz indicated, just over a quarter of an acre, of which about 5,600 square feet of that are impervious coverage, kind of inclusive of building, driveway, miscellaneous walks, and ledge areas. There are no formal stormwater facilities for water quality. There are some pipe discharges from the planter wall that lines the front property line that discharge some roof area and planter area directly to South Beach Drive. And there are 2 existing weep holes through the seawall that any surface runoff that sheet flows over towards those areas of the property in the southeast corner discharge through those weep holes and out towards the sound. Beyond that, there's no, as I indicated, no water quality improvements on site today, and I'd say the whole site is ultimately tributary to the Long Island Sound. Under proposed conditions, we're reducing coverage by about 80 square feet. As Liz indicated, the main crux of this proposal is to raise the dwelling to meet the minimum flood requirement for elevation. But with that in mind, and even though we're reducing impervious coverage, we are providing some level of treatment via stone reservoirs being installed below decking and stairs. So those stone reservoirs include a stone depth to meet the minimum water quality volume of the tributary area, which includes those decking areas, but also some of the roof leaders discharge into that stone as well.
So, it will reduce, again, stormwater runoff and perhaps, protect against effluent into the harbor?
Yes, correct. There's a volume and kind of groundwater recharge element to those collection systems that will help the water quality from some of these, like I said, roof and deck areas. And then in addition, we're actually installing a couple of area drains in this southeast corner of the site and connecting to the existing weep hole. So no work seaward of that seawall there. It's all landward. And those area drains, again, provide some minimal, or not minimal, but do provide some water quality benefit as they have sumps that capture some sediment load that would otherwise be free to discharge through the weep hole. With that, the site plan set also includes a sediment and erosion control plan that will help provide guidance for erosion, dust control, tree protection, in order to minimize any potential impacts of the construction activities. And just as a whole, the project, I think you've seen plenty of these, is consistent with the existing use of the site and is not anticipated to interfere with existing waterfront uses adjacent to the site or create any conflict with those competing coastal uses. And in this case, again, as no work is proposed seaward of the seawall, we don't believe this project has any impact on the shorefront resources, but it does have a positive benefit from a water quality standpoint on the eventual runoff tributary to the sound.
Well, those are certainly concerns of the commission. Would anyone like to, any further questions from Mr. Hines and Ms. Suchi?
I just have one thing to add, Dr. Pinto. I neglected to indicate that Oliver Cope, the project architect, is also present tonight in the event that you have questions for him. And also, if we didn't mention it before, there is no activity or no improvement or work proposed for the seawall itself.
Right. Yeah, I got that from the application itself. Yeah.
We have nothing else to add unless you have questions of us.
Any of the commissioners have any questions
John,
regarding this current project?
John, may I say
Yes.
something?
Yes, Jeff.
Yeah, I think that like, as was emphasized, the main purpose of this work is to reduce the vulnerability of an existing structure.
Right.
And so in that regard, I think we would find this is consistent with the harbor
Consistent with the
management plan because it does reduce the vulnerability of existing development to coastal flooding.
Right.
And it's compliant with all
FEMA
required
requirements.
stormwater management measures. And the condition would be that the construction take place with best management practices.
Best management practices, right. That's
Protect the
correct.
harbor.
Right. Well, that
But
would,
the
that's used
consistency
again.
is related to the reducing the vulnerability of the existing residential structure.
Right.
I'll make that motion.
That was
Chris White.
Chris. Oh, Chris, thank you very much, Chris.
All good.
All right. And anyone
I'll
like to
second the motion.
Jeff, and second that? All right. All those in favor of that motion? Move forward. Again,
Aye.
this involves
Aye.
again that it certainly is consistent with the plan, that it will minimize again water runoff, and it also will safeguard again be consistent with FEMA rules and regulations with regard to flood zone area, and that best management practices will be applied during the actual construction process to prevent any impact on water quality in Norwalk Harbor. And so those are, all right. So all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Abstentions? Any opposition? Moving forward, we'll get that application review out within the next few days. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members.
Thank you very
of the
much.
commission. Thank you for your
Thank you.
help.
That was a great
And-
presentation, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that
very
is, and that is completed with our application review process this evening. And Chairman Kibbe, you're on, you're on board. Alan, you're muted.
Yeah, didn't want to share the thunder that's going on here with everyone.
boy.
Yeah, it's raining.
Exciting up here. Very nice, John. It's exciting to see all these projects going on that really make such an improvements to the waterfront of the city. It's really nice to see. I do not have a lengthy report other than I was very pleased to see that we had a sunny weekend for a change. It was a landmark event. I've been spending a great deal of my time organizing emails and having my laptop groomed for Miss Jones' FOIA requests. So that's occupied a lot of my time in the last several weeks. So I will leave that at that and move on to the Shellfish Commission, Mr. Bartosh.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Just really quickly, we had 163 Gregory as well this month. We were more interested in perhaps obviously the more landward portion of the proposed project, tabled just for a quick site visit, not anticipating any problems, and we'll have that back to Mr. Ryder after the holiday. The Canfield Island Bridge repair was presented by Mr. Bajek per the new COP regulations that allows the Shellfish Commission to comment. Immediately post the meeting, Mr. Bajek commented to Dr. Pinto in terms of summarizing what the Shellfish Commission found, and I essentially seconded that motion and agree with what Mr. Bajek presented to John. So we're essentially done with that. 18 Marion, also for Mr. Ryder, pens a site visit. I do anticipate that being returned to him after the holiday. Just like you, I guess, for a couple of months, the 66 Calf Pasture Beach Road tabled for mostly hydrological concerns. One bit of commentary, if I may. Tonight, this commission spent some time on the removal of tennis courts at Shore and Country Club. And I don't remember any review, any discussion of the removal of fuel tanks on Manresa Island. And I find that strange, very strange. Something's wrong with this picture, commissioners. End of commentary. And last, I'd just like to say that we have a new commissioner. We welcomed Mr. Mark Hiller earlier this month, and eat Norwalk shellfish this 4th. And thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back, sir.
Any questions for Chairman Bartosh, commissioners? Hearing no questions, thanks, Stephen. I appreciate your good work.
Thank you, sir.
Moving right along, staff reports. Mr. Lavallo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, commissioners. Kind of a busy 2 weeks. I received last Friday, I received a complaint of a construction buoy that was floating in the channel over by Manresa early in the morning on Friday. So I went down and I located, it was construction over at Green's Ledge Light where the moorings are located. There's 8 construction buoys that surround where they're going to put the barges. And this is the 3rd time that one of these buoys have broken loose. So I towed that in. I made arrangements with Chiambro. I pretty much sent them an email telling them that the moorings have to be inspected immediately. Per their permit, there's 8 out there. There's only 4 out there now, and they can't count for the other 4. So I'm in the works with that, trying to get that those inspected Then I received another navigational hazard of actually I don't know what it was. It was some type of dock or a wood mat that maybe cranes sit on was submerged over by Peach Island. So I ended up fishing that out and towed that to the city docks for removal. And I'm going to try to share my screen. Here's my complaint that I got today, which I went down to see if I can clean the scale that's on the Straffolino Bridge that gives a depth for the tide. Some mariners are complaining because the bridge won't open for their vessels anything under 14 feet, but they can't read the scale. Let me see if I can do this.
It's gonna be dark before.
Let me see if let me see if I can share this. Maybe not. Jeff, if I text it to you, can you put it up?
Well, I don't think it's that important, but.
All right.
Because if I have to
don't know.
text, then I have to,
So the
then I have to bring
scale-
it over to the,
So the scale is only it only shows a 6 foot and a 4 foot mark. And I don't know who to contact to get that. It looks like it's got, I tried to scrape it. It's impossible.
Wouldn't that be DOT? Because anytime we needed permission to get down to that area there, we had to contact Department of Transportation to have access to the bridge compartment itself and the people.
yeah, I believe Don Remsen has his hand up. He probably
Well-
knows.
I don't know for sure, but if somehow, Bruce, you could get that to Owen, Owen could text it over. And I'll have my crews look into it tomorrow.
That'd be awesome.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Remsen.
Yeah, this is the white
This is
height scale.
The height
Yeah.
scale on both sides of the Straffolino
Yeah.
Bridge.
Is it both sides that are,
Yeah, they're both sides, yeah.
okay. So both sides need to be cleaned or
Need to be
something.
cleaned. I mean,
Okay.
there's probably an inch of barnacles on it. It's pretty.
Oh, wow.
They clean them
Okay.
once a year. It probably should be done quarterly, but it's done once a year. And so unfortunately,
Whose responsibility is that?
DOT.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah, so.
Other than that, I'm still chasing some people for money for moorings. I'm still sending out letters to have their gear inspected. It's getting done, but it's a slow process. And that's my report. Oh, one other thing. I went out with the harbor master boat today and I almost had to be towed in. The boat is not running correctly. So we need to, however you want me to proceed with that, if you want me to call All Seasons. But it's got to be a fuel issue. It's conking out on me.
I think I go right there, Bruce.
When I went out last week, it ran great. When I went out today to check the bridge stuff, I almost had to paddle back to the dock.
Maybe it doesn't like the heat, Bruce.
It's possible. It was almost 100 degrees today.
Yeah.
I just give them a call and see if they can come to you or you go to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Bruce. Appreciate it.
Any more
Anybody have
report?
any
Thank you.
questions for the harbor master? Anybody have anything to ask? Thanks, Bruce. We appreciate all the hard work you
Thank you.
do. So
Thank you.
much appreciated.
Thank you very much.
Moving right along, Jeff Stedman.
Thanks, Alan. Again, it's an hour and a half into the meeting, so and there's a lot to talk about. And I think the first thing I'd like to talk about is what's going on with the legislative initiatives affecting the harbor management commissions. The last day of the legislative session was June 4th. We were assured by Representative Arzano from Greenwich that the substitute bill that's objectionable with respect to harbor management authorities, but supported by DEEP, would not be adopted or would not be acted on this session. Haven't followed up but we're taking him at his word, and there's no record that we can find in the legislature's website that bill was enacted. And the understanding we have with Representative Arzano and others is that DEEP will now work with us and will hold DEEP to its word to come up with a bill for the next legislative session that will uphold make clear and clarify the harbor management authorities. And to work with DEEP, we're establishing a committee of representatives of harbor management commissions, the chair of the Greenwich Commission, the vice chair of the Stanford Commission, John as the president of the Harbor Management Association, the former chair of the Fairfield Commission, and the mayor of New London would all be on this committee, would report to other commissions. So hopefully we'll be able to make some advancements and clarifications between now and the next legislative session. So that's one topic. Other topic is yesterday I spent 2 hours at the Port Authority office in Old Saybrook at the invitation of the Port Authority, including the new executive director, and they're retaining hiring 2 additional staff people to work with them, and they were very interested in the harbors that where I have knowledge about and where they provided ship grants. So we had a very interesting discussion, and I won't go into what we talked about in the other harbors, but they are interested in visiting in Norwalk, and we're trying to set up an appropriate time to see the areas that where they've approved projects. And I was able to show aerial views of both the visitors dock and also the East Norwalk Marina, which of course has just recently been funded. And as part of this work, we're preparing a summary report of the accomplishments that were related to the visitors dock and the grant that was provided to the city back in 2017, so that we can just go back to look at the press releases and the applications. They noted yesterday that they expect to have another round of ship grants this year, to be announced later this year. But what they're working on now is the procedures, because apparently there were some legislative or some sort of changes that now allow private entities to be eligible for applying for ship grants. So they have to work out the procedures for dealing not just with public agencies, municipal agencies, but also private agencies, and how that will affect the pool of money that's to be available, for these grants, we don't know. The Norwalk River Watershed Initiative didn't meet yesterday. Didn't meet last week because of the Juneteenth holiday. But still, we're involved with, and as I've mentioned a number of times, this is, I believe, in my opinion, a vital project for the Harbor Management Commission, and it always has been. But we're expecting a public information session in August by the consultant hired by the Watershed Initiative to come up with updated policies to the watershed-based plan. And then yesterday or the day before, we were notified by the director of the Southwest Conservation District, and I knew nothing about this, and maybe others did, but that there was a public meeting in the City Hall last night by the DOT to discuss the Merritt Parkway and the Route 7 project. As you know, we missed the opportunity to comment on the environmental review of that project, but there will be applications, I'm assuming, for the commission to be involved with. And even though that's outside of the harbor, it clearly has an impact on the Norwalk River, and that's hence the commission's interest in that, and also the relationship to the agreement or not the agreement, but our concern that bridge deck projects and these sorts of projects have measures to reduce runoff into the Norwalk River and ultimately into Norwalk Harbor. And that's what we were able to accomplish with the I-95 bridge. So I think we have to keep our eye on that. the Manresa Island, and Steve brought up a very interesting point about the removal of the oil storage tanks and the relationship to the either in progress or completed remedial action plans. But we know that the next public engagement meeting is July 13th. And again, as we talk, the commission has a role in reviewing these plans when they're submitted and go through the regulatory process. And then another topic, and I mentioned this at the last meeting, was my request that the commission give consideration to making a recommendation to the mayor that the Veterans Park Marina be named after Tony Mobilia. And you know, I know the mayor is retiring this year. The mayor was Tony, they were good friends. And so I'd still like to bring up that request again, that, you know, it's not on the agenda tonight, but that at some point the commission at least consider making a recommendation to the mayor that marina be renamed after Tony Mobilia. And then also at the last meeting, you know, I mentioned Alan's letter to me, I think it was April 17th, and that I would like to have an opportunity to not, you know, again, there's not much time tonight to go into it, but just to touch on a couple of points, which I'd like to do. One, I want everyone to know that I talk about the commission's work with many others, including in other towns, and that's always been a part of the harbor management process. We learn from what other towns do, and other towns learn from what we learn. And I just give an example of our work with the DOT on the railroad bridge project. Now, the DOT is pursuing work on the Housatonic Bridge and on the Cascade Railroad Bridge, and that's of interest to the Stratford and the Greenwich Harbor Commissions. So of course I share with what we've learned and with the DOT in our work with them, with those two commissions, just as those commissions share with us their experience. The other experience, again, as a good example, is our experience with the Siting Council and Eversource. I shared our experience with the Siting Council with town officials in Fairfield who stood up to the Siting Council and also to United Illuminating and were able to do so. And that led to the Siting Council Reform Act. So sharing information with other commissions about what we do has always been something that I feel is vital, is just an essential part of harbor management. But there are other topics in the letter that if anybody wishes to discuss with me, I certainly would look forward to doing that in a public session, including the compensation that's provided to me, which has been the same as it was 37 years ago. So my effort in working for the commission is to contribute to the community. I'm not looking for billable hours, and that's the end of my report. But thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Jeff, if I can just interject, you know, that's been the Connecticut Harbor Management Association's first and foremost requirement as far as our participation in this, and that we are an association for sharing of information among commissions, and that's the way it's been for a number of years. We get together, I do get together from time to time with other department chairs to discuss certainly very important issues. So information sharing is certainly one of the things that our commission has always done in the past, and the commissions and other communities have also shared with us many of the findings that they've had with regard to you know, projects that involve certainly DOT and as well as DEP that certainly helps us out. So information sharing is certainly very important as far as.
But there's even the smaller projects, not just the DOT and the Eversource project, but just as we discussed tonight with an application review, where the applicant said, well, we're not required to notify, you know, the association now. We do that when we submit the application to DEEP. And that came up in with a matter in Stamford as well. And as a result, the Stamford Commission, as part of their application review process, are requiring that when there are potential concerns with neighbors, that the applicant provide, you know, not just notice that they're going to talk with the neighbors, but provide the neighbors' comments for the commission to make a decision. So there's all sorts of little things like that and that's not really little. That is, I think, is part of good harbor management, to interact and share with what we do, which is all part of the public record and the public process with other commissions who face the same issues as we do.
Yeah, but I feel as that we've done that in the past. I mean, we've done
Yes.
that. I mean, as a matter of fact, other commissions have requested that we share information with regard to mooring fees. You know, how much do you charge? How much do we charge? And so they've put forward the amount of information that they had with regard to what they use or what they suggest their mooring fees are. I know the state statutes say one thing, but each commission has their own review of how much they do charge. And we've shared that information in the past. So information review and information sharing is certainly very important among commissions. That's partly the part of the charge of the Connecticut Harbor Management Association, and I think we've always abided by that.
John, do you share that information with the commissioners of
When
all
things
these different
come-
commissions?
yes,
Because I've never seen anything from the Connecticut Harbor Managers Association.
Alan, I sent you, yes, we did. When we had that, policy with regard to the Greenwich lawsuit, you signed it. I sent around information to all the commissioners. So that's part of that. I try to stay on top
John, I
of,
signed a letter for you. That's
right. And I sent all the information that was sent, you know, to and that same letter was sent to all the commission chairs. And we had respondents of 18 commissions that responded, that went along with what the Connecticut Harbor Management Association put forward with regard to that Connecticut. And that led to the response that we had, you know, with the state with regard to trying to come up with new legislation or new discussion. And as a matter of fact, that's going to be doing with Mr. Thompson, now that this new bill has not moved forward. That was the main thing that we had stayed in touch with. The Connecticut Harbor Management Association stayed in touch with, and information that we share. And I let Mr. Stedman, you know, because he meets with other commissioners, other commissions in the state as part of their review. And I sort of pick up information from what the other commissioners have mentioned to me. And this is how we got our little coalition together. With regard to now moving forward with coming up with the best language that the DEP will go along with regard to applications that we review, and that the binding portion is what the Connecticut DEP is having a problem with, that issue of binding, that any recommendation by a commission that is made based on, you know, the commission reviewing an application that is binding by a state unless they abide by the DEP, unless they can show just causes why they chose a different recommendation. And so that's always been our basically working document. And we're going to go ahead and perhaps come up with the best type of language that's going to be, hopefully, to avoid perhaps going through any type of legislation that the DEP is going to be agreeable to, and that will meet the requirements, what they already put in many of the harbor management plans. Our harbor management plan clearly states that any application that we review based on the harbor management, you know, based on the harbor management plan and based by Harbor Management Commission is binding by a state unless they show the DEP, unless they show just cause to the contrary, and that they reply to us as to why they chose a different tact. Because it always helps us to know that why did they choose a different tact? We need to know that, because we need to at least tell our constituents if something happens at let's say at location A, location B is saying, well, you let them do it. Why can't we do it? Well, we need to know that information as to why the DEP allowed them to happen there, but we couldn't do it in this other location. That's basically what well.
Thank you. I do have another question if we're going to talk about the Harbor Managers Association, because what would we have to do to get Harbor Master Lavallo invited to be part of the association?
He is, as a harbor, all the state harbor commission, at least the harbor masters are members of the Connecticut Harbor Management Association.
Okay, good. I didn't know that.
No, oh yeah, no, they are all the. As a matter of fact, we do have a harbor master in the state who is our major representative of the harbor masters. Right.
Well, John, the Harbor Management Association is one aspect of this. My comment was just that to let everybody know, I talk about what we do because it's a benefit to other commissions, and we learn from other commissions. And what we do is at a public meeting, and it's just part of the process of sharing information and contributing to effective harbor management.
Well, the Connecticut Harbor Management Association has also been involved in educating new harbor masters, and we've had meetings with harbor masters in the state as a learning process for people who have come on board. We haven't done that in the past 2 years, you know, since probably COVID got involved. But the DEP and the Connecticut Harbor Management Association has been working together to give training sessions to all our harbor masters. And I think Mr. Lavallo has been involved in that in the previous.
Yes, I have.
Yeah. So we inform our harbor masters, as far as what's going, but we haven't had any training sessions, with DEP probably in about 2 years or maybe 3 years,
No, thank you. I'll stop.
Moving along, I think, if everybody's
Yeah.
agreeable, I think, move on to our committee reports, Mr. Mangles.
Okay, so DACWA, just to let everyone know, there's about 69 nights, and we go by how many nights visitors stayed. There's a few that are repeat visitors, so that's always a good thing that request specific moorings. One in particular out in Sheffield Island, online mooring, as Harbor Master Lavallo stated, trying to clean up a couple of things. Transient moorings, I want to thank Deputy Harbor Master Lee and Officer Figueroa, who reminded boaters that were over at Sheffield Island tied up to the transient moorings that they're reserved, and that they would have to pay if they want to stay on those. We have added an inner harbor transient mooring. So we did that. That was Edwards Marine. The cost to install that was $2,829.06. The police department / harbor master mooring that is over by Peach, that was inspected as well. That cost was $646.18. So not only does the police boat tie up there, but the harbor master boat can tie up there as well, and has tied up there. Requested and received a quote from Gilman Industries for 4 additional mooring floats. They call them floats, balls, if whatever you want to call them. These are the can type or the keg type floats, which you could store the lines up on top. They are the same as we have now. So the quote for the 4 with the same lettering, reserved via DACWA, Norwalk Transient mooring, but these are going to be labeled SH for Sheffield 3, 4, 5, and 6. That quote is $2,872. I would like to have a motion to go ahead and spend that money, $2,872.
We can make that motion, Joe.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Matt. And who seconded? I'm sorry.
Chris White.
Okay, Chris. Thank you. All in favor?
Well, just one point of discussion. If you can get the bill in and to me and to the city by July 1st, it'll try to spend money from last year that we got left over.
That's exactly what I'm doing, my friend.
Okay.
So
then I'll vote with both hands, yes.
Yep. Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Let's see. We are still working on getting a proposal or a quote for a 100 square foot float that we would anchor to the just south of the visitor docks, or the ramps, I should say. And we're just still working on that. Harbor Master boat. So Harbor Master boat, we need to get hauled and painted, cleaned and painted. So I do have an estimate from Edwards Marine. It's $1,248. That includes hauling and dropping it back in. So $230 for each. Bottom paint at $345. Pressure wash, you got to get all the junk off of it, $138. And then the paint is $230, and miscellaneous material, rollers and things like that, $75. So $1,248. I need a motion to go ahead and have that hauled, painted, cleaned, and ready.
Well, based on what Mr. Laval had mentioned about the current status of the boat, I certainly make that recommendation.
I second it.
Okay, so that's a motion from you, Doc?
Yes.
Okay, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Fantastic. Batteries are due for the Harbor Master boat. So Reese Battery is now an approved vendor. That is $293.90. We need to get batteries for the boat, for the Harbor Master boat. I need a motion for $293.90 to spend that money and go get those 2 batteries.
I'll make a motion.
Before July 1st, I'll make that happen.
Before July 1st, absolutely. That's Chris McDonald made the motion.
I'll second.
Lori Jones, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all. Okay, Harbor and Island Safety, the Boy Scout plans may change to instead of doing the outhouses that are over on Shea, the proposal may be to add signs and clean up the campsite. Signs would say something like "leave no trace," that type of thing, and camp 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 type of thing to designate the camping. That I'm in contact with the Boy Scout that is doing that. Bruce already talked about the floating plank. It was quite a large plank or platform or something. So thanks, Bruce. I appreciate that. And the mooring buoys, Bruce also, Harbor Master Lavallo also discussed. So that's the end of my report.
Anyone have
Does
any
anybody have any
questions for Mr. Mangles?
Well, Jeff, do we need a motion for these invoices from Edwards Marines or?
Well, that was already approved.
Okay, it's already that's previously approved. Okay.
For the budget. So, and to
Yeah,
add that and all of that. So, and as needed type of thing, but thanks.
Right. But you need
Jeff,
these, you need me to send these to Mariana, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I have done that. So I've
Well,
done
you
all
guys
of that.
Yeah, I know you flooded me. You flooded my inbox right before the meeting. So
Yeah, sorry.
I didn't process all this information. I just.
Yeah, sorry. I apologize for that.
Bruce has his hand raised there.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I forgot to mention one other thing. Thanks to Sergeant Pasigli and his crew, we dodged another sailboat. We had a trespasser in one of our moorings. We basically kicked him off the mooring, and then he was starting to anchor in the harbor, and then the Marine police got involved and pretty much told him he had to anchor someplace else, and he ended up anchoring off Fairfield, and the boat ended up breaking loose and ended up on the beach in Fairfield. So we dodged like a $6,000-7,000 bill. So I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you very much. And I want to just give a thank you to you and Jeff too for managing all the moorings and getting everything ready for the season. Because I know it's a big job to get everything set and inspected and ready to go. And I think that the transit moorings are a great step forward for the harbor. And I had just to throw in that mooring conversation. I had an opportunity to talk with some of the folks, planning the Manresa operation. And I set up the groundwork for the moorings to be a harbor commission kind of operation for moorings for visitors to Manresa thing once it's open in a decade. To think about using letting the harbor commission do that rather than doing it themselves. So. Yeah, it was a very well perceived suggestion. So thank you. Bruce and Jeff.
Thank you.
Chris.
Well, real quick, Alan, I did have a question. I have my hand up
Okay, I'm sorry.
here for Jeff. That's okay. Jeff,
Yeah.
when is the what is it, Eagle Scout Service Project? When is that scheduled for? Have they got a firm date for it yet?
They do not have a firm date. We are probably going to go back out to the island so that they could see Grassy Island as well. Take a look at the campsites over there. They did not see all the campsites over on Shea. There's 15 or 16 of them. It's just a huge number of campsites out there. So we did go out to the island to do an initial visit on Shea last month sometime. I don't remember what day it was. So so they do have an idea of what they're up against. It's amazing the amount of trash that is on the island that needs to get cleaned up. And I'm not talking about stuff that gets washed ashore. It's stuff that it's inland and they leave it there. So it's, I'm all about keeping things clean. So, but if you're interested and you want to come out with us, let me know.
Yeah, I'll reach out to you.
Yeah, if any commissioner wants to go out, let me know.
Hey, Jeff, a friend of mine that I was actually with last week up in Martha's Vineyard was part of a program that they did on all their public beaches, which was called a carry in, carry out program, where they put all this signage up, and over like a 3-year period, it went from having massive garbage issues to almost none. And it was all based on putting the signage up about, hey, carry in what carry out what you've been carrying in to make sure you leave the space as you found it. And it was a huge struggle for them. And they put a really simple, basic kind of marketing-ish plan together with just some signage, and it worked over time. So I don't know if that's something that we can maybe learn from.
Yeah. So it's a good idea. And that's what the Boy Scout was saying, and the other people that were with him is, leave no trace. Carry in, carry out was another sign. So, and I think that if it's looks junky and trashy, then nobody cares. But if it's cleaned up and no one wants to be that, well, I would hope no one wants to be that person that leaves the trace and then all of a sudden it piles up.
Jeff Stedman, might I make a comment?
Sure.
The conference I went to talked about it last month, which was a Long Island Sound Watershed Conference, and it included a number of groups that are interested in beach cleanups and clean water. And a lot of them talked about understanding the language that is spoken by the groups that they want to influence. And in Stamford, the commission is just going through an effort to provide information based on the different languages and presenting it in different languages. So the second language in Stamford is Spanish, and then there are other languages as well. But there were really interesting presentations by these groups at that conference about how to influence not just the people at the, when they get to the beach, but at the locations that they frequent as groups. But to be understanding of the different nationalities that are involved in the languages that they speak.
Yeah, that's a great point. Because our community is diverse and it's fantastic. So if they're out there and certainly signs in Spanish, say you mentioned Spanish, certainly that would certainly help.
And the Stamford Commission went to the Board of Education, and they have the different languages that are spoken in the schools, and they're developing public information, harbor-related public information programs based with consideration of those different languages.
Yeah, that we'll take all of that into consideration. It's not my project; it's the Eagle Scouts project, but. Absolutely, ideas like this is fantastic, because then I could, pose that to the Boy Scout. So let's get his Eagle Scout ranking. We can all do it.
That's right. Thank you, Jeff. Anything more for Jeff? Moving right along. Chris, finance.
Okay. Well, I just have one thing to bring up. I don't have a tally or anything. I'll do that next month. We'll close the books on the the city's fiscal year at the end of June. That's why I was plugging people to get invoices in so that we can charge as much to last year's budget as we can. Jeff Stedman submitted an invoice for professional services covering January through June, or June 20th, I think it was dated. He's billing for 62 hours, a total of $3,720 for his services for the past 5.5 months. So make a motion that we approve this.
I'd like to make that motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion?
I think we should see what the commission is being charged for. I don't distrust Jeff at all, but I think we should have an opportunity to understand what the.
You received a copy, right, Alan?
No.
Well, are you making a motion to table it, or you want to review it now? What are we talking? I can put it on the screen.
You're muted, Dr. Pinto.
Doesn't an invoice contain all of the necessary, the billable, what is involved in what that?
Yeah, the thing is, Dr. Pinto, we didn't get it.
We didn't see it.
Oh.
So this is the first time.
Okay, I thought, okay, that's what, Chris did receive that, right?
Yes.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole commission ought to have a look at this. I don't, if it's a urgent message, if we can vote on this by giving, sending a note to Amelia and saying, yay or nay, and do it that way, to speed the process up. But I really think the commission should see where we spend our money. I'm reluctant to just say, okay, to spend money and not know what it's for.
So what's your motion?
I think if we could all get this, my suggestion is, from a management point of view, is we get this out to the commissioners tonight and ask commissioners to respond favorably by email, yes or by email, yes or no, to Amelia as soon as possible, so that we can get this in for this year. I'm all for getting it done. I'm just I think it's very important that with these kinds of expenses, that the commission have some idea where the money's going.
Dude, why don't you just send it out to everyone and we can just.
Yeah, and we could respond to
Yeah, Chris, if you could just send it to us and copy Amelia, and then we'll all just respond with a quick response. I mean,
Well,
at the end of the day,
because I send it to the finance for payment. So
yeah, we'll just respond to all and make sure you have it tomorrow morning. I mean, in general terms, I think what we're getting from a value standpoint from Jeff is tenfold. But I mean, I have engineers that work for me, and $60 isn't what they get for parking a day, much less an hourly. But anyways, I think especially when you look at the grants and everything in the background, this is, massive for what he's accomplishing and assisting us with.
Oh yeah, Yahoo sells ads on their email. Wild one.
If we can send that out to everyone can send Amelia or Chris, I guess. Do you need to want to put that in with signatures, Chris? We usually do for those invoices.
I don't know what you're asking me to do.
Usually when we submit bills, we used to, maybe you don't do that anymore. We used to get all the commissioners to sign the piece of paper so that it was approved by the commission. We could do that, in my opinion, by just sending a yes or no thing to Chris or to Amelia and having them gather all that information.
Yeah, I'm sending this to everybody. Please respond.
Yeah, we just responded yes to $2,000 worth of mooring balls at $500 a piece, and
yeah,
this is 62 hours of service for $3,000.
And if anybody wishes, again, as I said, to ask me about the work I do and be pleased to respond. But it's nothing different than what we've been doing for many years. Thank you, Chris.
Yep. It's going out now. Please take a look the next day or so.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to bring up one other thing. I was hoping that the president would have brought this up during his
Hey, Chris,
report.
Chris, do you
Yes.
want to stop sharing your screen?
Oh, yeah. Thank you. That makes sense. All right. So I assume everybody saw some emails back and forth. We had never discussed up until now. We have yet to discuss efforts to hire a new consultant. And I need to object in the strongest terms possible that the chairman acted, took action on behalf of the commission without not just approval, but without notification of the commission. The chairman put out an RFP, put together an ad hoc committee to review the applications, and then apparently the whole thing fell apart. But the chairman is not an executive. The chairman has no authority in and of their own position. All authority derives from the body of the commission, and all action has to be taken as a motion by the entire commission. There's no executive committee. There is no chief executive of the board of the commission. So I think everything that happened from putting out the RFP to reviewing the RFP, et cetera, was done outside of the rules of this commission. And I just sincerely hope this does not happen again. I don't know what possessed you, Alan, to take this course of action without any consultation or approval.
Number of things. The calendar didn't really help very much in this, just the way things get a little out of hand. On the other hand, this is a non-binding request for proposals, and Mr. Stedman was invited to apply. And I was told by other people who correspond with me all the time that Jeff is very, very well aware of it, the whole process that was going on. So.
No, Alan, no, I disagree with every step you took. Doing it and don't talk about the calendar. You had the April meeting to discuss it. You had the May meeting to discuss it. You had the June meeting to discuss it. Don't talk about that. I think the calendar is just a dodge. Yes, it went out before you were ready for it to go out, but you still prepared an RFP. I don't care that it was non-binding. That is not, you're not like asking, a sign guy to give you a quote.
Sure.
I
disagree with you, Chris.
A whole other level of activity that you had no authority to do on your own. You did not have the authority to do this.
I don't know how you determine that, Chris.
Because there was no action.
You're just
there was
making
no
this
action
up,
taken by the commission. It
Where
was
does it
done
say
without
that?
even consultation of the commission.
Where does it say that?
You are not
anywhere.
Do you want to bring this to the ethics commission? We can do that, Alan. Do you want to?
I'm happy
take a
to.
forward. No, but don't pretend that you're like the executive. That you're the president and an executive that you can take action like this without the commission.
Can we get a better understanding of how this transpired? I guess I'm late to the a full
Well, everybody's
understanding
late to it because it's never been discussed. But thank
It
you.
need to
Matt.
be
Please
discussed,
ask the
in my
question.
opinion. But
I guess how did the RFP come about?
I wrote this all. I spent a lot of time writing letters to the commissioners about that, so you should have had time to read that. So if you don't read what's written, I don't know what I can do to help.
What you wrote last week after this has been in process for 3 months?
No, what I wrote long.
Well, we knew your concerns about the process, but to actually put that's one thing. You've expressed your opinion. We knew your opinions about it, but you did not have authorization to go attempt to hire somebody.
To what?
I'm sorry, you didn't. You did not
have what? What did you say? I didn't have authorization to do.
To hire to put out an RFP to hire somebody. That's what an RFP is. We know that. We all know that.
It's a non-binding RFP. means that we don't
Well,
have
you
to
didn't,
act
you
on
didn't
it.
explain that part either, Alan. It's an
I
RFP
did.
is,
I've explained that to you, Chris. There's no point in arguing about it.
okay,
You guys are perfectly happy to have somebody else do this job. It takes a lot of time. I spend hours consolidating crap for Linnell Jones. So I'm what you got. If you don't like it, you can make a change. You have that capability. So it's,
You get,
I
again,
don't,
you know, my
I don't
argument.
have to be doing this, and I don't really
No,
love all the time it takes to put up with
I,
this.
Alan, I agree. I agree with this, but
I'm not doing, sorry. Go ahead, John.
no, my argument with this whole situation, Alan, was that the fact that the city went ahead and put together an RFP for a new consultant. And as far as I'm concerned, from the standpoint of the NOAA code and our harbor management plan, that it's the commission that has the responsibility of hiring a consultant to review, to work with the commission. And we do not have to go out to bid. And I think, and again, this goes back several years back, probably about maybe 15, 20 years back,
No,
that
I
indicated
don't
that we can go out to bid we don't need a second bidder, and that we can have a consultant, providing that this is going to also go into state statutes and be changed. And I think it was March 2025, in which a bill is going out where a municipality will have the authority to hire someone going out for less than $35,000, that they can go without a second bidding. But the commission itself had the authority to review any application and hire a consultant of who we felt would be best to fit the position. And as far as I'm concerned, a consultant, as far as Mr. Stedman's capacity and the value that we get, is far exceeds, what any applicant so far could be able to put together. I'm sure the person that would bid on that particular application is going to be bidding in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and which, as far as I'm concerned, the commission has run very, very smoothly with what we have. And I agree, perhaps we could sit down and outline exactly what responsibilities that the commission would request of Mr. Stedman to do. I certainly would have no problem with that. But long as it's done in the commission's, under the commission's guidance and review. And that's all that I was objecting to, that we, not the city, has the right to hire a consultant.
We're inextricably tied to the city of Norwalk, whether you like it or not.
No, well, but the
yes,
city code actually says that we, as a commission, have the right to hire a consultant, and we do
Yes,
not
you
have to
do.
go through the city.
And did I deny that? Did I hire anybody?
No, but the fact,
I try to
but
hire
the fact is,
anybody?
no, but the
I
fact
tried
is
to
that
hire Jeff Stedman, who chose not to apply, but that was kind of the
commission has
incentive.
already hired Jeff Stedman in the past, and
That's fine. There needs to be a process for hiring somebody, and that's all this is. And I think the commission needs to have a process of who it spends its money on, and how that is.
But yes, the commission, but not you personally, Alan.
I didn't do it personally.
You did it personally. You did it without us. You did it without the commission. Nothing that you did over the last 3 months was done with approval or notification of the commission. You did this entirely unilaterally on your own.
Not entirely.
Well, yes. Well, you handpicked other people from the commission, but it was still done without the commission.
Yeah.
I mean, at what point? So, what point were you going to ask us? After you'd selected somebody, we're like, "Oh, I picked this guy. Please hire him."
No,
you would have
not at all. Not at all. That's
well, you laid out no plan, and all we can do is speculate what your intentions were.
Well, I think you have to consider that I'm an honorable person, and I'm not.
No, you're an honorable person, but you also have a responsibility, and you violated that responsibility.
No, I don't think I violated the responsibility at all. We had some things that happened. The city, Amelia was on vacation. The city sent this thing we worked on out to the public. Amelia was away, so we didn't find out about it till actually a week after that last commission meeting. And I decided to let it go. It was on my agenda to talk about at our meeting before last, and it was running so late after this all the application review And at that, by that point, it was pretty evident that we only didn't attract any real serious candidates.
But Alan, just but what initiated, what I have a problem with is what initiated the need for a new harbor management consultant? What,
I think
something,
you have
there was a first, what was the indication that we needed a new harbor management consultant? That's what I don't understand.
When was the last time the commission interviewed for a harbor management consultant?
That's not the question.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You have an obligation to have the best advice you can possibly have, you know?
And the commission over the past years certainly had no problem with the best advice, best fiscally responsible advice. If you think you're going to get a new consultant for less than what we're paying for right now, I'd like to see that happen.
Okay, can I just interject here? Because it's getting heated here.
Yeah, no, well, I don't want it to get, that's one thing.
It's getting heated. We all work together. We all do a good job. What I believe is what was a little concerning was Jeff Stedman's one bill last year. So that was one thing. But in any business, this is a business. I know it's a commission, it's a business. We need to know what we're spending money on. We need to go into a contract with that person. And it's not just to protect the Harbor Management Commission, but it's also to protect the consultant. So if we have a contract and Jeff knows what, or whatever consultant it is, knows what his duties are and what we'll pay for, then Jeff, we have no recourse not to pay. So it's to protect the consultant and it's to protect Harbor Management Commission. Because it could be another consultant would say, yeah, but I charge $500 an hour for that particular service. And all of a sudden we have this bill that's $35,000. But likewise, if we say, Jeff, these are your responsibilities, or consultant, these are your responsibilities, and the consultant carries out that responsibility, then we have to pay them. So entering into a contract is actually good business. It protects the city, the commission, and the consultant, in my opinion. That's just my opinion.
But as I understand, though, Jeff, all Mr. Stedman's invoices have been clearly outlined and specified exactly what.
I know that.
To the letter. And I've never
I
seen.
know that.
I've never seen.
I know
detail.
I know that.
When I was treasurer years back, I've never seen more detail than I have in any invoice.
I have seen.
That's my opinion.
The invoice.
They're detailed, but that's fine. But some of them are for things that the commission hasn't authorized or.
Well, over the year, the commission had, for example, the North River Watershed, the initiative, that was started actually by the Harbor Management Commission back in the early 90s, you know, and we were major implementers of the North River process. So, and Mr. Stedman and none of the commissioners wanted to take that responsibility. And over the years, Mr. Stedman has volunteered his time because it does involve the North River watershed, but it also involves other municipalities in the area. So he certainly acted as the eyes and ears of what went on, not only at those meetings, but other meetings that he attended based on that one involvement, which is the North River watershed. You know, that's only one minor thing, but there's certainly other things as far as communicating with other commissions and giving us full access to what is reviewed by other commissions and providing us with valuable information on how we conduct our business in the harbor. Our harbor is, we have an open book as far as, I have nothing to hide as far as what we do and manage the harbor in the public's interest. I think it should be public notice and in fact, other municipalities welcome that information, and that information is certainly valuable, and I have no problem with Mr. Stedman sharing sharing the information from other commissioners with us and us with them. I don't know. But.
So, in all that aside, why the process started is not really my point. My point, and I agree with Jeff, that contracts are good, but no one person on this commission should negotiate should solicit people through the city for a contract, negotiate within a contract without any authorization or informing the commission. And I will take that as far as you want to take it, Alan. If you object to that, if you actually objecting to that, then I have problems with your being the chair, because you're assuming executive power that you do not have.
I
All
don't know
power
that.
lies with the body of the commission.
Where does it say that?
Come on, Alan. It's a commission. Where does it say that you have the executive power to do this?
Have you read the bylaws of the commission? Not that I don't give a damn, but I mean, you're kind of assuming what our organization is, and I don't think you really are aware.
Well, I've spoken to people in the city government, and everybody agrees that's how the commissions work, right?
Yeah, I know. I'm
Can
sure
I
they do.
can I interject something?
Sure.
Chris, I'm not
Sorry,
so
Don
sorry,
Remsen's
and
had his
I
hand
know
up.
Don Remsen has his hand up, so
Yep.
maybe we should let Don
Don,
speak.
go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm fairly new to this, but I'm involved on other organizations. And from what I'm gathering, was there an ad hoc committee set up on this?
Sort of
Or not?
after the fact, in a way. Yes, it was.
So isn't it the responsibility of the ad hoc committee to bring it to the board, to the commission, and keep them up to date on what is going on? Because I know where I'm a member, and I've been part of ad hoc committees. We usually go out, do all the legwork, and then we will report back to the board with our findings and what our next step of action are.
That's correct.
So, I mean, that's where I feel the disconnect is, right?
Well,
I
Yes,
do,
it is. That's exactly right.
I do agree that there's nothing wrong with bids and all that, but I agree with Jeff, and I don't know what Chris, and part of what Chris is saying. I think we should have been part of this and at least been
Yes.
kept up to date on what was going on, what the ad hoc committee was looking to do. You know, and just, I think that's where we got ourselves a little discombobulated right now.
Right. So I agree 100% with you, Don. So an ad hoc committee should be set up by the commission. So we would have had to known that an ad hoc committee was set up, and then the ad hoc committee would report back. None of that happened. The ad hoc committee was set up without any notification or authorization of the commission.
Who was the committee?
Myself, there are two people from the city. There are two people from the conservation fund from I forget her name top of my head. Sher Shetty, Alexis Sher Shetty's team, and Jeff and Laurie, who would really I look at as the executive committee, since they're the
There's no such thing, Alan. There's no executive committee.
yes,
There's
there
no
are.
such thing.
There are three.
Well, the executive committee, you can call people that, but the executive committee also has no authority outside of the commission itself.
Okay. The executive committee are the three people put in their position.
Well, you have treasurer,
elected,
you
or
have-
elected by the commission, whatever you choose to call them.
Right.
So Laurie, Jeff, and I were elected by the membership, by the commissioners, to do what we do.
And all of us were appointed by the mayor.
Yeah.
That's where the power lies. The power lies in the commission.
Well, then let's go ask the mayor. Will he help us?
Sure. I will certainly get some more
Chris,
clarification.
I'm not going to argue this anymore. I'm happy to
That's
step
fine.
aside if that's what you want. I'm, you know, it's a lot of work, a lot of Linnell Jones crap that I have to deal with, and I'm you know, pretty much tired of it. And if you'd like to step in,
Well, that's fine. That's fine, Alan.
Alan,
You
I
make the
object to
decisions.
the term. It's not the crap. I understand. I mean, it's point of information. I wouldn't call Linnell Jones that it's crap. I mean, I have no problem of we have an open book as far as what we commission and what we do.
yes, we do. It's just that there's a lot of communication that's going to Linnell that I'm not sure where it's coming from, but it's things that she has no way of knowing by reading the
Miss
minutes of our
Jones, as I
meetings.
understand, attends most of our commission meetings.
She does, but she's
You know,
got things that
some of the things that
I
she
don't wanna get into that.
responded to. I mean, are
I'm ready to move on with the agenda if anybody else is.
all right. I certainly
I yield
further
you.
discussion.
I'd be happy to talk to you offline, Chris, anytime. But again, this is not a plot to get rid of Judge Stedman at all, which some people, which has been, people have written to me, why am I trying to fire Jeff Stedman? That has the farthest thing from my mouth. I could tell you where that came from. That came from, Miss Jones writes things like that. So I have a lot of those documents from her saying I'm making these attempts to get rid of Jeff, and I think that probably reflects what people have said to her, that the people who talk to her regularly. Where else would it come from?
I believe Lori has her hand up.
Lori.
Thanks, Jeff. Just to swing back to what I was going to say, it's ironic, Don, that you spoke to that, because that's exactly what I was going to say is I don't think there was, I know there was never intention of actually hiring anybody. This was the first stab at research to do some due diligence before coming to the commission. Should the commission been aware that this due diligence was being pushed by the city to be done? Yes, I agree with you, Chris. I think the commissioner should have been aware of the RFP, which, as I say, and from Alan's email to everybody, it was something that was initiated by the city because they have no contract, and that's a requirement for them. But there was never an intention to actually hire. I think what the hope was is that we were going to be able to do some due diligence and see what the market had and report back to that. So I don't believe it was.
And then how did that turn out, Lori? Lori, I'd like to know, how did that turn out? What information did you get from this last bid?
As you know already, Dr. Pinto, is there were only 2 applicants.
And
they had extremely good qualifications
and
opened our eyes, and they were very expensive.
There's the bottom line.
And
was that being fiscally responsible to the
All right, hold on.
Enough.
Hold
I'm
on.
done.
There's no more arguing about that.
Let's.
Dr. Pinto.
What do you mean there's no more argument?
No, because you're being argumentative.
No.
That's
But I
going to
want to
stop.
point it out that
That's going to
we're
stop.
trying to be fiscally responsible.
It is going to stop you being argumentative.
Now, I'm not being argument. I'm trying to
You
be
are.
a point of information. And I was interested in what information was gleaned from the amount of information, actually for the
And
amount
Lori
of time
just
and effort
explained
that
that.
you put into applying for these, getting these applications, President.
And Lori just explained that.
Not completely, because
She did.
I'm still perplexed as to what initiated this. There was initiation somewhere. Was it
I
the
think
law?
we found out, right? The initiation was that the city got a bill. They didn't have a contract. So we needed to find out why we were paying someone and we didn't have a contract to do that.
Thank
Through
you,
that
Chris.
process, they
Really,
put
Chris.
together an ad hoc committee. Should they have done that without us being aware? No, they should not have. We should have been aware. But you know what? That's what happened.
Good. So this is
Through that
question.
process, they found nothing. They didn't hire anyone. It was a little duplicitous, whatever. Who cares? Like, I don't see any purpose in us sitting around here and arguing about this anymore. And I mean, if you guys want to chat about it offline, that's fine. If you want to take a vote to boot people off, make the motion. I mean, otherwise, let's move on.
So
Well
long
said.
story short, we're not getting rid of Jeff. We're continuing as planned. We've done some due diligence and found out that we can get some really qualified people for
There was
more
never any intention
funds.
to get rid of Jeff. I mean, the hope was in this kind of RFP exercise that Jeff would have applied and then we would have been set for 3 years. I agree with the city that it needs to be a contracted operation and it needs to be renewed. Nobody's only tenured people don't have to be reviewed, and even most schools are getting rid of that because it's terrible. And so it's just very important that we look at the marketplace and we test the marketplace periodically to see that we're getting the best advice. And we're getting someone who's very knowledgeable, is out in the field, sees what other communities are doing outside of Connecticut, outside of New England even. So that's something we have to do to be responsible as commissioners, is to look for the best advice we can get. And I think it has to be done periodically, every 2 years, every 3 years. We need to test the marketplace to see who's available. That's the way, as long as I'm doing this, I will stick by that. If you don't want to, you have a test the market to see who's there, that we're getting the best value, then I'm out of here. I mean, I just have no interest in doing that unless we're going to be looking for the best services we can get, because that's very, very, very important. And that's.
I'm going to make one more point. The letter you wrote to Jeff Stedman during the RFP process was inappropriate. to write a letter to a potential candidate with the tone that it did, I think was inappropriate, and in fact, it discouraged him from applying. That's what happened. That was the result of the writing of your letter during the RFP process. This is
we're gonna drag this out.
We need to move on. This is going nowhere.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I wrote a letter to Jeff. I thought
we did the research. We found out that we're getting the best deal possible. Get Jeff a contract, pay him, and let's move on.
Right.
Good.
I mean, that's the point.
Thank you. I think it's important to note the mistakes that were made through the process the last time. So the next time we have to go through this, we will do things with full information and above board. That's the only point I'm trying to make.
I think we're all in agreement with that.
Thank you. Well, that's the first time you've stated that, Alan. So thank you for pointing that out.
That's I have to defend myself just for one more little bit, because this was a very there was no intent to replace Jeff in any of this exercise. It was more to satisfy the city, and it's also putting a RFP out like that out is a very interesting to see what turns up, and you learn about the marketplace from doing that, and you learn that Jeff is way underpaid for what he does compared to other people for some things.
Yeah.
And that's.
I think it's fine. Next time, let's just all be kept in the loop. I think we're good.
And we were, moving right along. Plans and recommendations.
No report.
Newsletter and website.
I will admit I am completely underwater with grad school and 2 kids and a job, so I have not had much time to put together the newsletter.
Understood.
I will, at least I'm going to try to boost up our mooring listing on Dockwall and see what I can do with that, just from some more photos and some more verbiage and stuff like that, just to see if we'll boost anything. I think I can manage that one. But yeah, I'm stretched a little thin currently.
I understand. I sent the mooring guys, Jeff and Bruce, something I'd gotten on a response from a mooring I had reserved, but I think there's things that could be done to our communication through Dockwall that really do a little marketing job for the harbor and for the city for free, and we need to look into that.
Yeah, and I'm wondering too, like, have we tested the waters or thought of the idea of, doing digital ads on some of these, websites that boaters frequent, or any kind of you can do digital ads for pretty cheap. I wonder if the ROI would be there, if it would boost attendance, or if we're if we're seeing plenty of numbers, then that's fine. But there is some other things outside of writing a newsletter that could drive more people to the boats and therefore dollars to the bottom line.
There is we've been collecting reviews from Dockwall. They're from our customers, from people who come and stay in the harbor, about what a good time they have, and so we've been archiving those. So those are really make good firsthand recommendations from outsiders. So we do have that to work with as well. So yes, we should be doing more to promote that whole.
Yeah, and Chris, that is why we're trying to get more moorings in the inner harbor. Those are the ones that get filled up.
Yeah, totally. You want to be if you're a visitor.
Yeah. So we're pretty booked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we had to change up to the 800-pound moorings, because we're getting bigger boats.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, boats are getting bigger everywhere. Right.
Here's sorry to cut you off. Here's a suggestion. We ask Chimbro to leave some of the anchors in place when they evacuate, and they come in several years. So those are serious anchors. I mean, I don't think they're really going to pull up those 5,000-pound anchors. They get with them, and we could,
we don't need
we could more up to Queen Mary if they wanted to come in here.
Yeah, probably 2. They're
I don't think I don't think anybody, any of our service contractors could move them either. I mean,
right.
Well, I would be worried, Chris, I would be worried about inspection, because they have to be inspected no matter what every 2 years.
Right.
Don't care.
We'd have to pay a diver. Yeah.
They're like a small bus we'd have to be pulling up.
Yeah. And the size of chain, I don't even know the size of the chain that's on there, but I can only imagine.
Yeah, we'd have to pay it, but people come, there's a lot of 40, 50-foot boats that don't have places to, they can't be accommodated a lot of places. And somebody I know that has a boat on that. It's just like, I would love to stop in Norwalk, but there's nowhere from.
We could fit a 50. Absolutely fit a 50. There's a 50-foot Grand Banks on right now.
Is there? Okay. All right.
Yep. Absolutely. We have 45s, 44s.
I guess it's more tonnage. I don't know what his tonnage is, but yeah, that's good to know.
How about depth, Jeff?
Depth depends on where we are. 6 feet. If you're a sailboat, right? Around 6 feet, we might be able to stretch it. If they want to stay over at Sheffield, at low tide is about 8 feet, 7 feet. So there's plenty of room out there. But again, no one wants. Well, I shouldn't say no one. There's the interest is
we have a few
being
that like it out there.
close. What's that, Bruce?
There's a few that love out by Sheffield.
Yeah, they love it. There's a few that they don't want the boat traffic and things, but I think that if they stayed in the inner harbor, they'll realize that the boat traffic calms down at night, and that's it. So
the rowers start at 5:30,
and that's true, and the bullhorns wake you up. So
yeah.
Hey, Jeff, I had a question from one of my neighbors actually, who is having some family come into town for some of the summer. Do we have a map? And I couldn't believe I didn't know this offhand, of all the moorings that are available that they could possibly choose from, or is that on Docwa? How is that?
You register in Docwa. I have some of the stuff up there, but you register through Docwa, and then I get that request, and it depends on who's on and who's not. So there's 6 moorings in Sheffield, and there's 3 on the inner harbor.
There's no map that shows a bunch of dots that you can say, I want B17 when you call up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or map, rather. Sorry.
No, not really, because it's with the inner harbor, it depends on who you are. So if you're a powerboat, and your draft isn't much, then I could stick you closer to the Fitch Point spindle. But if you're a little heavy keel, then I could shove you out pretty much on the line where the right by those big moorings are for the barges, and
Just
that'll
on the
give you a
outside of the
little more
boat.
room. Yeah, that'll give you a little bit more room. So we'll guarantee 6 feet there. City of Norwalk only guarantees 6 feet at the ramps, even though we went over there, and I think at low tide it was 9, but they'll only guarantee 6.
Right.
All right. Any hands up? No hands up.
Well, let me know, Matt, if somebody's coming in, and
Okay, I know a guy.
yeah. Hey.
Time to get the dredging going too. That's the other thing that goes with that. That the more we silt in, the more we have no room for visitors.
Well, exactly.
Water quality. The mayor is not going to do about the water quality, the mayor's water quality commission, until there's a new mayor. So he's not going to do anything to promote that along. And that's been as far as I was able to get with him. So anybody else have any new business? Motion to adjourn then.
I'll second that.
I'll make the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you all for your time. I really
All right,
appreciate it.
everyone.
Thanks,
All
everybody.
right, take care.
Have a cool
Take
evening.
care,
Yeah.
everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
All right.
Have a good night.